Hey guys, and welcome to another special episode of Mostly Peaceful Latinas. I'm your host, Bella, and we are here with, of course, my beautiful co-host, Linda. Today we are here with current Miami-Dade's mayor running for county mayor of Miami-Dade, Republican candidate Manny Cid. Manny, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us and connecting with us today. So, Manny, we'll start off. We're doing these small highlights. For us, it's very important that we get people out to vote for these primary elections. Historically, people like to come to us and say, we don't like the leadership, we don't like the way the country's being run, and then they never show up. So we're hoping that with these small highlights, we're able to energize our fan base to go out there and vote for elections. Remember, August 20th is the last day to vote. You've got all these days in between to go out there and cast your vote. Manny, let's start off here. Why are you running? What motivated you to run for Miami-Dade County Mayor?
There's currently a war on the middle class being led by this administration. We've seen in the last 3 years, 134,000 middle class folks move out of Dade County. It's an administration that's raising taxes every year. And it's not like if services are getting better. Like you're paying more for less services. And I think that's a major issue because we're seeing generational wealth disappear. Yeah. One of the dreams that existed here in Dade County were the dreams of, I'm sure, all of our families to get here, pinch pennies, work hard, buy your first home, use that equity to help co-sign for your kids, use that equity, leverage that capital to open up a business. But right now it's disappearing. We have an administration that is moving towards a New York model, a Chicago model, a Los Angeles model, that should never, never, never be the Miami model.
Right, not. When you think about some of the biggest deficiencies that you're hoping to tackle day one, some of the things that need to be corrected, what do you think that some of those top priorities are for you?
Well, number one, we have to lower property taxes. My promise is, at the very least, a 10% year one. And it's not a promise that I haven't done before. In Miami Lakes, where we're the only city that lowered taxes 10% this last year, so I know how to do it. Secondly, we have to bring back all the bus routes in working class areas. One of the things that this administration did was eliminate all these routes, and it literally harmed thousands and thousands of people. I went to a senior center the other day, and seniors were telling me they have to walk now 3 miles to the closest bus stop. And when they get to the bus stop, there's no shelter, there's no bench, they're just standing there for hours upon hours. One thing that we love doing on the campaign, I rode the bus a couple times during this campaign, but something else that we do, when we stop at a red light and there's a bus stop, we get out and we talk to folks and we ask them, something that the county never did. When they changed these bus routes, they did it without talking to the users. And the third one I want to do day one is start moving towards an ownership model here in Dade County. This current administration wants to move everybody into affordable housing, into a rental model. I believe in some different phases. I believe maybe we could do a rent-to-own model here in Dade County, where folks can rent maybe for 3 years in those government buildings, and then it switches to an ownership model where they could build generational wealth through that equity in their homes. And I'll also do, obviously, for seniors, low-income seniors, our disabled community, low-income housing, but for able-bodied folks, I'm going to work with our community banks, see if there's a product we can develop where folks can get a loan a lot lower. Maybe the county even leverages their purchasing power to lower their closing costs. But there's a lot of different models, but that'll change Dade County forever. Right now, we're turning into a rental model where more and more families are being forced to rent, which eliminates generational wealth. But once we move to an ownership model, you see major stability in our communities. What happened in Little Havana, what happened in Hialeah, down south, in Miami Gardens, communities that became successful because the vast majority of the people own their homes.
Manny, that brings up a good point. Tell the audience a little bit about your history. I mean, you're not inexperienced. You've done this job before.
So I spent 7 years in the state legislature. Got there when I was 21 years old. I was an aide working up in Tallahassee, had a chance to write state statutes from the carbon monoxide safety law, debated bills in committee. One of them was when FIU was doing their medical school. And additionally, I was able to appropriate dollars in a $60-70 billion budget. So when I got to Miami Lakes at 28, 29 years old, I immediately was able to transform the city. And at 29, became the youngest vice mayor. At 33, became the youngest mayor. And I've been serving there for 12 years. But I also own a small business. So in government, you make bad decisions, nothing happens, right? They tax folks. In the private sector, I have 20 families that depend on me and the decisions that I make. So I have to make sure I do the right decisions. And that's a mentality that's never existed in the county, which is crazy. Today, there's nobody on the county level who owns a small business or who's ever created a job. And that's a major issue.
Absolutely.
So, Manny, you're running against Daniela Levine Cava, who's our current mayor. Where do you think she has fallen short during her first term in office?
Well, she's not an administrator. She ran for an executive position. Our residents believe that the mayor should be accountable directly to them. Mm-hmm. What this mayor has done from day one is insulate herself from any criticism. Yeah. Look, we saw it recently when she suspended her transit director, even though she told him to make sure that there was a free fare for our bus system. Mm-hmm. Suspended him to a point where he right now is going around the United States looking to apply in different cities, and her suspension is impacting his ability to get another job. Our finance director forgot to file one paperwork with the state of Florida, and that paperwork cost us $60 million. Wow. And you know what she did again? She used COVID money to close that hole that should have gone to infrastructure, and she suspended them. Yeah. So there's no accountability in Miami-Dade County today, and every single regional service, from the airport to water and sewer to animal services, transportation, is in crisis. And that's a direct reflection of the current mayor.
Interesting. Okay, you guys know that we are constantly talking about getting involved politically and holding your politicians accountable. You have the opportunity to vote if you are a Miami-Dade resident. Right now, we are in the primary, which ends. Early voting ends this Sunday at 7 o'clock. And then voting day for the primaries is on Tuesday, August 20th to 7 p.m. Manny, I want to give you the opportunity to tell our audience why they should go out to the polls right now and also, of course, on Tuesday and vote for you.
Look, if you believe that your children and your grandchildren should live in Miami-Dade County, this election will decide that. If the current administration stays there, it is over for the middle class. They've already sent out a signal that they'll have deficits starting next year while they're continuing to raise taxes on our future. And our kids are feeling the brunt of that. A lot. We've seen, like I said earlier, 134,000 people move out. And that's why we have to make sure that we create a Miami-Dade that works for all of us. Because this election is going to decide that future. We don't want to be a binary community where the only folks that exist are the ultra wealthy or the very poor. The best societies in the United States throughout the world have a growing middle class. Yep. And we used to have that here in Miami-Dade County, but we still have an opportunity to do a U-turn. So go out and vote on August 20th and to ensure that we turn back to a 180 from what currently exists. And I'm the only candidate right now who has that record of achievement. Miami Lakes is a model. Number one, the only city to lower taxes. Number two, the only city to take on criminals where we have one of the lowest crime rates in Florida, actually top 10. And the first city to take on the bureaucracy where you can get a permit on average in 4 days. In Miami-Dade County, it takes you on average 4 months. Yep. So make sure you go out and vote. Participate. I appreciate the opportunity. I think it's so important to talk directly to the audience.
I want to chime in something that you said about the middle class because, you know, I was saying that's like don't New York, my Miami. It's exactly what's going on right now. I just actually saw that Ken Griffin, who moved out from the Citadel, moved his headquarters here from Chicago. There was a lot of controversy with what happened with some bonds or something or stocks a few years ago. He's backing Cava. I think gave her like $500,000 as a donor.
Like Donald Sussman did in 2020 as well, $500,000.
You know, these are people that do want to push out the middle class and make Miami into an unaffordable place, much like New York. So get out and vote.
We need representation. We need real Miami representation in Miami. Yes, we don't want New York politicians in Miami.
We need to keep Miami.
We need to keep Miami,
and not New York. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you for taking the time.
Of course.